Well, I get to Nashville and I'm homeless. I don't know anyone for 16 weeks. I lived under the Jefferson Bridge. I was homeless, man. I was always chasing the dream, you know what I mean? And it just puts, but they never called. They never answered. They never invited me. And then that's when I realized, like, you're by yourself, bro. You're by yourself.
What did that chance mean to you to, get your feet back wet into the music scene?
Man, this guy, he hadn't heard me sing, but he said, this guy is awesome. And he said, come on, Romeo. And so I jump on stage and I sang. And I felt the heat from the lights again. And I heard the band behind me again. But I saw the people again. And it was everything to me.
Nobody ever asked me that question before.
That's a good question. I haven't thought about that in a while.
Your network is truly your net worth.
And that's why I have the motto, winners only. Like,
that's a good question.
We got almost $100 million in the pipeline.
Well, I appreciate you because you have like some really great energy.
Man. And you guys, we are live now on national TV. We are live now on national TV, airing across 350 different countries worldwide with your newest favorite artists. Country artists straight out of Nashville, so you know he's the real deal. Romeo Vaughn in the building.
Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
Good, man. Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I've checked out some of the music that you kind of had out, and I was like, okay, cool. This guy's bringing a little different flavor to that. But for anybody that doesn't know, you just, general introduction. Let us know where you're from and whatnot, and then we'll get into the conversation.
For sure. Yeah, man. I'm originally from the Valley, from the 956. I'm from a small town called Santa Rosa, Texas. And man, I grew up there. I'm from there. It's all I know. Shout out to Santa Rosa Warriors. And now I've been in Nashville. This year will be 10 years. So,
man, 10 years is crazy. Just to think, we had this conversation about, you being from the Valley off camera, but it's kind of crazy to think because I know a lot of people who are from the Valley and they don't really talk about it too much. But I mean, it's a very, very important part of your upbringing, right? And what you're about and who you are and what made you.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the Valley, it's who I am. It's what I am. I'm a Valley kid, man. I think I'm taking that to Nashville. I took that to Nashville. And we grew up like on the frontera. You know what I mean? We grew up right there, and West. Like the whole culture of it. And I think it's something that's really cool because when you're from the Valley, like me, you're country, but you're Tejano, and being country and Tejano and it's not in your closet, it's in your blood. And I think that the way we were raised, reflects on the journey that I'm on, Mm-hmm. If you do it right the first time, you don't have to do it again, don't quit. If you quit, my dad never let us quit school. Sports, because he said if you quit this, you'll quit everything for the rest of your life. And I think that's what's kept me in the game when times are not always rainbows and butterflies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. I want to go ahead and talk about this journey that you said that you've been on, because you said, oh, we've never quit on this journey, and then you take it back to your dad. So what was it like for you as a kid growing up in the Valley? Because I know for my parents, they're from there, right? It was completely different in a sense. It might be the same, it might not be. But I'm trying to get an understanding as to who you are and what the Valley turned you out to be. So if you can just share a little insight on that.
Definitely the Valley hasn't changed. It got a little bigger, maybe like more fields, gotten buildings on them, but it definitely hasn't changed. It's still the same. Culture, respect, doing what you say you're going to do, doing the right thing when nobody's watching, A man's word is everything. You know, respect your mama, love your mama. You know, make them proud, make your parents proud, because I think the Valley culture is like, even when you're not, when you're away from your family, you still represent your family. And so everything that I do is a representation of the Valley and how I was raised. And you don't always get it right. You know, everybody makes mistakes. But the Valley it made me who I am. Santa Rosa made me who I am. You know, hardworking. You know, just because I don't work with my hands per se, like my daddy did, and his friends and my brother does, it's still hard work, and it's never luck. It's always hard work.
No, for sure. So when I hear the Valley, I hear the stories that my family tell me about how it was like there with a lot of drugs and alcohol,
Yeah.
gang violence and whatnot.
Yeah.
And like my family, they're from like the Brownsville, Harlingen area, so I don't know how that far that is.
That's the same.
From like
same.
Yeah.
Cameron County. That's where I'm from.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because you're maybe 10 years younger than my parents, right? But how was it for you growing up there, and where did the involvement of music come to play when you were down there?
Oh man, well, I'm from Santa Rosa, bro. I mean, it's Ruben Bella, Jesse Serrata, you know, Jesse Turner from Signo. Shout out to my primo. And you know, growing up, I mean, everybody's from the Valley. Grupo Duelo, you know, Intocable, Sólido. You know, I was with Big Circo and Signo. You know, Bobby Pulido, Grupo Frontera. You know, I mean, and there's a million country bands and Tejano bands in between. You know, you got, you know, there's Evolucion. I mean, there's a lot of bucket crazy. I mean, there's so. I mean, we're all there. The talent is ridiculous down there. You know, so and there's a funny saying, when you're from Santa Rosa, you're either a musician or you're a truck driver. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, we got Grammy winners in Santa Rosa, man. You know what I'm saying? And that came out of there. And the Valley, you know, Grupo Frontera, Bobby, you know, Roberto. I mean, there's the list goes. I can go on and on and on. You know, and the Freddie Fender, you know, Country Rollin'. I mean, there's I could keep going, and so there's a lot of pride. There's a lot of pride to be from there, and culture. It's what we do, man. We got the livestock show down there. You know, with music, and back in the day we had the Villarreal, and you know, and so the music culture is very big down there. Not everybody plays and sings, but everybody loves it. You know, and back, you know, to your point of what your parents said, you know, about the drugs and stuff, it's there. It is there. You grew up around it.
So what kind of parallels did that life that people are more familiar with, knowing from the Valley, kind of like play with your life? Did you have any involvement with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I did a lot of drugs. I did a lot of drugs, and I drank a lot. You know, because it's what I saw growing up. You know, you got your family members like, you know, hey, let me get a little hit before the road. You know, to sober up a little bit for the road, and so you see that, and you think it's the norm. You know.
So let me ask you this. When did you realize that was the reality that you had from there? Like at an early age, or more when you in your adolescent years? And when did, I mean, because, okay, you're listing all these great talents for music, and I take nothing away from them. But what I want to know is, in spite of all of those obstacles there, when did music become a thing for you to say, hey, this is gonna be my way out, so I'm not a truck driver, or I'm not out here getting high with my friends?
When I was 13, I mean, I always loved to dance and stuff like that, music, but Signo Turner, they were having I don't know, you're probably too young, but Miss Bush, she started this thing called Red Ribbon Week in Texas. And it was like a drug-free week. And
they still do that to this day.
They still do it?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was real big for us. And so Turner Signal had just he was just starting out with Signal at the time, and they were doing like high school tours and doing concerts for Drug Free Week, and he shows up to the school to play, and I was in the front row, and there was a barber in Santa Rosa. She's still alive, but she doesn't cut hair no more. Her name was Lady Diane, and then after the Princess Diana. And she said, Romeo, if you get on stage, because he was calling people to dance. Mm-hmm. And he says, if you get on stage, I'll give you free haircuts for a week.
So was that like one haircut?
No, I mean for the year. Sorry. I'll give you free haircuts for a year, one a week.
Yeah.
And, you know, growing up the way I did, free haircuts for a year. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So I said, okay, I'll do it. So he was calling people up. So I went, and he looked at me, and he's like he laughed, like, you know, and because I love Michael Jackson when I was a kid. I still love him today, but you know, but he was alive then, and so I would practice his moves like by myself, but I would just do it by myself. Mm-hmm. I never like went and told everybody like, oh, you know. And so when I went on there, they played the beat Signal, and I got down. I was like, get a haircut for a year, bro. I was like, I got this. And and after that day, the concert was over. And back then we had CDs, and it was actually for Christmas. My dad bought me all the Michael Jackson CDs, like a collection, and the Jackson 5 and all that. And I ended up like I had all my CDs with me, and I went when the concert was over. He said, "Hey, come here," and he's like, "I didn't know you I didn't know that you did that." I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, teach me how to," because he wanted to move with the accordion, and I said, "Teach me," and I said, "Okay." So we would practice in the driveway there in Santa Rosa at his mom's house. Que pasa descanse, his mom, and he was like, I'm gonna go on the road. You want to go with me? And he said, yeah. So I went on tour with him at like 13 or 14 years old. And I saw the life, and I mean, it wasn't glamorous. I mean, now he's got 2-3 buses, right? But back then we had it was like a 16-passenger van, but I didn't care, bro. Like
it was different.
It was different.
You were getting that first taste of what you wanted to do.
And so like the way the vans are like this in rows. So Turner had the top. Like the seat was his like bed. It was everything, and there's the floor between the driver and the passenger seat, and the seat. Well, I was on the floor. That's where I would sleep when we would go on tour. I was there, and I was a kid. I fit.
So let me ask you this: when you were on tour with him and you were 13, 14 at the time, what did your parents think about that?
My dad didn't like it, but my mom, of course, was like, hey man, this is his dream. You know, this is like, he's been practicing in his room since forever. I mean, you know, and so as a matter of fact, that back then at the Villarreal, there used to be this thing called the Valley Choice Awards. It's when like the biggest bands in Tejano would go. I mean, Duelo, Control, everybody would go. I actually got to dance with Emilio Navaira and Raulita Navaira on stage at the Valley Choice Awards. Emilio loved me. Que pasa descanse, Emilio. I love him. I'm friends with his sons today, bro. Yeah. Shout out to Emilio and Diego. And so my dad, he wanted me to play sports. That was his thing. And so he actually didn't let me go to the Valley Choice Awards, and then he finally let me go. So I went. I got to make it. And then so I would go to school during the week, and then I would go on the tour on the weekends. And then I would go to school during the week. And then when the time passed by, A.B. Quintanilla started a band, like a project called Big Circo back then. And they're from Brownsville. And I was performing at this, in Donna, because Que Pasa 99.5, they had DJ, and they made Her Day. Like her day.
So let me ask you this. 'Cause I'm trying to stay on timeline. Are you still 13, 14 when all this is happening for you?
At that time, I was I was already like 15, 16. So I went with Turner for like 2-3 years.
So you did that, but you did that kind of like on your weekends.
The weekend stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when I did the Bonnie the day, the singer for Big Circo was standing kind of like Lorenzo's there right now.
Yeah.
And I was on stage. And when I got off the stage, I was talking to Jimmy Gonzalez. Que pasa descanse, Jimmy. And he was like, man, Jimmy called my house, bro, for me to go play Guido with Grupo Más. And my dad didn't let me go.
So let me ask you this. You're experiencing all of these connections to music at a incredibly young age,
right,
for anybody, right? So it's almost like you're living a double life in a sense where you have to be the son that your family wants you to be. And you also have to be that, that son that your dad wants you to be, but then you're getting a little bit of, freedom here and there.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people that age get to experience that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
So what kind of, what was going through your mind? Like, what kind of internal conflicts were you dealing with at that time?
Because, we're all believers, right? We are in our faith, and we believe that Jesus Christ is King. And so the Bible teaches us to honor your mother and your father all the days of your life. So I had my dream, but I also wanted to honor my father. So I was dealing with that. But my dad, when he finally saw let me tell you that happened, and the singer of Big Circo came to me, and he said, man, you're special. I want you to come with me. What do you like? You're only going on the weekends, and Big Circo was popping at the time. And so I went. I talked to Turner. I was like, man, I have an opportunity to be like with this band.
And how old were you when that was?
15, turning 16, and I said, I'm gonna go with them, and he said, okay. And he's like, you did what you could here. Like your purpose is done.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went with them. And that's when it got crazy, because we got signed to Capital EMI. And it was...
So what you're telling me is that you were 16 and you got signed to a label?
Yeah, the band did.
Oh, okay.
The band did.
So what was your role with the band?
I was dancing. I was a dancer. And like a hype guy, but like choreography, because back then it was Cumbia Kings, Grupo Control, so they had dancers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was doing.
Oh, okay.
And so
the majority so when you were younger, your first taste of music was you being a dancer, entertaining.
Yeah, I was an entertainer.
Oh, okay.
Which is why, like in my shows today, I'm all over the place, because that's all I know is how to entertain.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that time, that's when I was going to Mexico, going to Monterrey, going to Sabinas, going to Aguascalientes. We were going to Saltillo. We were going to Tampico. And then that's the first time I ever got on an airplane, because Capital EMI sent us to do promotion for the new record.
And at this time, you're still like 16, 17?
Yeah. 16. And so I flew. We were doing Sábado Gigante, Desperta América, El Gorro de la Flaca, Primer Impacto. I mean, and that's when it started to conflict with my schooling, and my dad was not happy. But so we had to make a decision, and my dad said, "This is not real life, man. This ain't gonna last forever. Like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna be able to dance like that." And so, forever.
Yeah.
So I was like, Dad, this is, because, dude, we went to Monterrey, bro, at the Macro Plaza, and there was 96,000 people I performed in front of at 16. I was living my dream with cameras, and I was on world international television at 16 years old. I had no idea, because I didn't know about any of that, what was going on. But I was on international television at 16. And we had tour buses and it was insane, bro. We were huge in Mexico. We played La Fe. I mean, it was wild. I mean, we were on tour with Los Tigres del Norte, Intocable, Duelo. Like, I was like at 16, bro. You know, and so it freaked me out. And so I said, Dad, this is what I want to do forever. And he's like, well, you have to, what about school? And he's like, I'm not gonna let you drop out of school. So we had a Miss Madaffrey, the Madaffreys, rest in peace, Miss Madaffrey. She found out a way to get me homeschooled through my district. And my dad was like, Miss Madaffrey, you're gonna have to teach him. You're gonna have to be his teacher because I can't do it. I'm working. So Miss Madaffrey agreed to be my homeschool teacher. And that's how I was able to go on the major tours that we were doing because I was homeschooled.
So let me ask you this. You're 16, you're going on 17, you're playing all these international, you're entertaining at all these premium live events, so to speak. At any point in time, was there any doubt that you dealt with? Like, man, am I really making the right decision? Or was it, oh, like, yo, I'm 100% in?
No, I've never had a doubt. I never had a plan B because I feel that if you have a plan B, all that does is take away your attention to plan A. So I never questioned it.
What year was this?
2003. I'm 38 years old.
Okay.
2000. It started off in 2000, then 2000. You know, but 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006. That's when I was doing. That's what I was doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So. And then, okay, so from there, so I'm trying to figure out on Instagram. I've seen a couple of stories that you have on there, like reels, talking about, you know, never getting invited to the writing table, never getting invited to XYZ, real friends, this, and I'm just like, okay, so you're in this really, really powerful industry of Tejano music and Hispanic culture. Where does that play into place? Was that towards the end of that journey for you?
The Tejano?
Or was that in the middle?
Because the singer died of Big City, or the band. Mm-hmm. It was over.
And how did that affect you?
Well, it was over. Just like that, it was over. It was over. And what my dad, like, I can't dance. Like, I need to do something. Mm-hmm. And so, when that happened, my dad rode bulls. He's a cowboy. My dad's a real cowboy. And he listened to country music, mm-hmm. growing up. And, excuse me. And, he said, this is what you need to be doing.
When he said that, was he more so saying, hey, instead of dancing on stage for people, make music?
Make music. Yeah. And he said, if you want to keep doing this life that you're doing, this is what you got to do.
But were you always musically inclined? Because from my understanding...
No, I wasn't. I mean, I always was musically, like, I had a beat, I had the rhythm, I knew, but I had never picked up a guitar or sang a song or anything at all. And so I said, okay, so my dad took me to a pulga there in Mercedes. Mm-hmm. And he said, let me get you a guitar. And if you learn how, it was like $30, $40 guitar. It's something cheap, but it's what my dad could afford at the time.
And forgive me for asking, but I'm just trying to make sure, like, I'm like, for the people who are watching, I want them to be able to have a timeline too. So when the singer of that band that you were working with died, how old were you then?
17.
So, man, that was crazy because you were living in the limelight for a good 4 years, mm-hmm. going. And it's got to be one of those things where, like, I see on TV all the time, you know, child star, like, they get exposed to so much mm-hmm. grown stuff. And then after it's all gone, it's kind of like, dang, what's next.
Yeah.
Do you feel that sentiment as well with you?
Yeah. I was like, what is next? But I knew, I mean, truth be told, I've always, this is everything I've ever wanted to do. I've always wanted to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to figure out how. And because if I don't do this, then I'm just gonna end up doing what my daddy does. That's the town I live in.
Mm-hmm.
That's the town I live in. That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
And you don't leave that town. I mean, you end up being your parents' neighbor. And you don't leave. So this was my only way out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
It's
so
kind of like you're holding on to a dream that's bigger than just wanting the spotlight, the attention. You're wanting a different change of life because you don't want to end up with your parents. And I can totally agree with the sentiment
and
too.
and it's not knocking like I don't want to do what my dad does because I'm better. But I saw the chinga that my dad went through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the chinga that he went through. You know? Working 3, 4, like all that. Like I was like, bro, I mean.
So seeing your dad go through that, how did that make you feel knowing that your dad was like, all right, son, like you need to choose school or the other? Because, I mean, a lot of parents back then are, you're either going to go to school or you're going to work. You're going to go to school or you're going to work. But this was a different avenue for you.
Right.
And then seeing the sacrifices that your dad is making and how he took it throughout those 4 years, how did that affect you internally after the leader of the band died?
I was lost. And that ultimately ended me in the Army. And so because my dad, that was one of his requests that we join the Army. So I joined the Army. I did my time and then I got out. And so then when I got to play, like I took my guitar with me. And that's when I started to, when my time in the Army is when I started to hone my skill. You know what I mean? I started to like learn and practice and you know, listen and different things like that. And back then we didn't really have like the YouTube and like the stuff that the kids have today that they can pull up on their phones. We didn't have that. So I had to learn by the ear and stuff like that. So there I was, you know, and
starting from the beginning all over
again, you know, playing for my fellow Joes, you know.
It seems like you were exposed to a lot of high level situations growing up, you know, from this extravagant life to music, then going to the Army. At any point in time in between that, were you ever at this point where you were like, maybe I should just give up the music? Like, I know I've already asked that question, but I mean, you gotta think, dude. Like, you were, and
maybe
you did
not,
a term.
maybe not.
You did a term for 4 years,
Maybe
going to see all
maybe
this
not.
other stuff.
Maybe not a let me give up the music, but can I really do this? I never questioned should I give up the music. Never have I questioned that. Because I believe in this. I believe in this so much I'm willing to die for it. But I did have that, can I do this? That moment, like, can I really do this?
What was that moment for you?
When I got a job working at a pig farm in Colorado.
Tell me about that experience and how did that play into you having that doubt in the back of your head if, can you really do this?
Because I was like, I was just physically like artificially inseminating these pigs, right? And then I saw everything that I had been through before. And then here I am. Like, I was like, can I get out of here? Like, can I?
Was this after you left the Army?
Yeah. I already got out. And then I went to Colorado for a little bit. I came home, and then but I was already like playing and stuff. And I went to every country bar in the valley, every country bar that you can think of. And that's when I had that moment, like, can I do this? Because I went to every single country band down there. And I said, hey, man, my name's Romeo. I'm a country singer. I'm just starting out. I'm just trying to get in front of people to sing. Everybody told me no. Every band told me no down there. No, we already got our own bar. I remember there was this one guy it was a bar that was afterwards, and we were playing. The bar owner was there. He was right here. I was right here. And I was like, everybody was passing the guitar around. And when it came to me, the bar owner was like, hey, that's enough, man. We don't want to hear it. Like, but one guy said yes to me. His name is Roy Torres. And I'll never forget that.
So it's crazy to think that you leave the place you grew up at with all of this incredible experience that you had as a youth, come back several years later, and it's still the same place.
It's still the same place today. It's still the same place today. Nothing's changed.
So why do you think that when you came back from Colorado and the pig insemination, that job, and you came back home, why do you think that they didn't give you a shot then?
I don't know. I don't know why. Like, there's enough. I mean, I don't know if it's the culture that we're in. You know how they say, like, the bucket of crabs, right? But I don't know. But I know that Roy gave me a chance. And I love him for that.
Okay, so I want to talk about this chance. What did that chance mean to you to, get your feet back wet into the music scene?
I hadn't been on stage since I had been a teenager. And I wanted to perform. I was like a fiend. And nobody would let me. And I went to Wild Bill's in Harlingen, Texas. And I was at the bar. And Roy was on stage and he came down. And I said, hey, man. I said, my name's Romeo. I know you don't have to. I was already like losing hope at the time. But I was going to go anyway. And I said, man, I just want to sing one song. I'm just trying to, my brother's here, my friends are here. And I would just like to perform and one song. He's like, hell yeah, man. So I ran to my brother and my friend Rini Bain. And I said, I'm going to get on stage. And it was a small bar, but
for you in that moment,
it was everything.
Felt like everything.
Everything. And he doesn't know me at the time, Roy. And he goes, hey, guys, I got my good buddy Romeo Vaughn. He's here, man. Y'all give him a chance. Like, he's going to come up and sing a song for you. Man, this guy, he hadn't heard me sing. But he said, this guy is awesome. And he said, come on, Romeo. And so I jump on stage. And I sang. And I felt the heat from the lights again. And I heard the band behind me again. But I saw the people again. It was everything to me. It was everything to me. And that moment, it just made me I'll never quit again. Or if I can help it. No matter what it takes. I'll die trying. Because of that moment that Roy gave me. Sorry.
No, you're cool, man. It's surreal to think that all it takes is a little hit of that drug, so to speak. For you, it was entertaining to really fuel that drive back, even at that lowest point where you wanted to say, am I still going to be able to do this? Or should I just, keep working, end up like my parents? Because a lot of people have that feeling too, where some people quit so close to the finish line, and some people keep going despite the fact that the finish line keeps moving.
Right.
They're still in pursuit of that finish line.
Right.
So with that experience out of the way and your new rejuvenating feel of wanting to be an entertainer, what's next?
Well, that's when I started, I took it serious. And so I reconnect with Turner again. And he ends up having a tocada in Laredo, Texas. And me invitó. He invites me. So me voy con él. And since when it was like 3 or 4 hours or 5, like Houston, like in that lower South Texas region.
Yeah.
Turner would never go on by this time he already had buses and like he was already a big star. But when it was that radius, Turner, we would drive. I would drive his car.
Okay.
And then we meet up with the buses. And so he's like, hey, vamos para Laredo. So we go to Laredo. And we're on the bus. And there's a DJ on the bus from the country station there in Laredo.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, this is my primo and whatever. Because I had been playing country music, like that, like.
So at this point, you've already gotten well acquainted with the guitar.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was nowhere near where I'm at now, but I was still better than I was before, you know.
Because back then it was more so dancing. Now you actually have a talent to bring to the table other than,
just dancing. Yeah. So, and Turner was like, ven conmigo, güey. And he was like, yo te voy a ayudar, güey. Te voy a ayudar. In like the little bit that I can. I don't know anything about country music. So we go to Laredo and that DJ's there. And we're playing. He's like, hey, my primo, este vato toca la guitarra, güey. He's like, véntate uno de George Strait, güey. And I'm like, sobres. So I played Amarillo by Morning.
Mm-hmm.
And the DJ was like, hey, you know what? And this is where, because of that moment is where my journey as an artist started. Because she says, hey, there's this new country bar here in town that's about to open up. And I know the owner. Right? Everybody knows the owner. Right?
Yeah.
But she wasn't saying like, I know the owner. She was being sincere. Like, I think I can get you in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, can you? And she's like, yeah. And then, so she gave me her number, and I thought I had made the big time, bro. I'm about to leave the valley, bro. I'm about to go play Laredo, you know?
Mm-hmm. So
anyway, I call her, and then she calls me back, and she says, Romeo, she's like, the owner said yes, but it's Sunday. It's a Sunday night. And
that's got to be tough because that's probably like their slowest.
Right. So he's like, it's Sunday night, and he's not gonna pay you, but he'll get you a Greyhound ticket and a beer tab. Not even a hotel. And I said, I'll do it. So I jump on the Greyhound bus. And I get there early. I don't even know who I'm gonna meet, but I meet this one guy. I don't even know. I think his name was George, but they called him Huevo. And they picked me up right there at the
Greyhound,
the Greyhound, the bus station, in Laredo,
mm-hmm.
right by the border. And I'm looking at he's like, hey, he called me, ¿Tú eres Romeo? I said, yeah. I said, soy yo Huevo, güey. And so he picked me up and took me to the place. And I did a sound check, whatever. And I was like, well, where am I staying? Well, they had a house where all of the back of the house, the workers, like the Mexicans, like would stay at. They had like a house for them, and that's where they took me. And I stayed with them, with the workers, like when I would go. So I played Sunday, and I end up like the first. It was slow, bro. There was nobody there, and so I was like, I didn't care. I was performing, and I got free beer. I was like, hell yeah, you know. Yeah. And then, well, I guess the word of mouth. The next Sunday there was people. I'm doing this every Sunday.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because I'm a bit curious, because you're not getting paid much, but you're getting a beer tap, and then you're essentially getting a quote unquote roof over your head.
Right.
And you're doing this week in and week out. And it's, for me, I'm hearing, I want it so bad, I'm going to do whatever it takes, and I'll have this opportunity. Heck yeah, I'll take the beer. But in music, a lot of the times you see people struggle with some sort of addiction when they're in the pursuit of the career. Did the alcohol ever
that didn't come till later?
No,
that didn't come till later. So when I'm in Laredo, the drugs and stuff didn't come to later because I grew up around that my whole life, bro. It was normal to me. I grew up around it my whole life, you know. But when I'm there in Laredo, I'm playing. Well, one Sunday, that like after a month, I pack Sundays, bro. Sunday's better than their Saturday.
Yeah.
With just me and my guitar. And that night, the owner shows up of the bar, and he saw that how there was a line outside, bro, on a Sunday to come watch me. And the owner, he owned another like club, and then he says, "Hey, te estás quedando con estos vatos o qué?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, I was making him money." So he finally got me a Motel 6 and $50. And then he was like, he would want me to go Saturdays so I could go to his like where they play like reggaeton and like Spanish music there. Like he wanted me to go to that kind of bar, like a club. It was a club. So I would go with him. And then Sunday I would perform over here. And so one day he picks me up, and this is 2012 or something like that, 2011. He picks me up and he says, "Oye, Romeo." He's like, "¿Tú escribas canciones, güey? You write songs?" And I had I had songs, bro. By that time, I'm already writing. And he said, because I had a song called "Dancing" that I wrote, and I would play it on Sundays, and it became a big, like little club hit for that on Sunday night. Yeah. Everybody would dance to it when I would play it. He said, "Porque tocas esa canción, güey." He's like, everybody dances when you play that song. And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "¿Y por qué no estás grabando? Okay, why aren't you recording?" And I said, "Yeah, it costs money.
Yeah.
I don't have it. You give me $50, bro." Like, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't tell him that, right?
Yeah.
But and
you should have. He probably would have been like, "Well, shit, you should ask for more."
Well, no. Well, check this out. So he says, "Do you have a studio?" And I said, "No." I said, "But I know somebody." And I had a buddy of mine that lived in Austin at the time. And he was doing music. He's from Los Fresnos. And so I ended up calling him, and I said, "Hey, bro, like, how much would it be for me to record? Like, do you know anybody like where I could like record a record? Like, I have some songs, and maybe if you have songs, I had this one song called Dancing." And he's like, "Yeah, man, let me make some phone calls. I'll call you back." So like the next day he calls like, "Yeah, bro, I got this guy. This guy said he would do it for this much." And I said, "Okay." So I called the guy, and I was like, "It's gonna be this much. That's what it is." He's like, "Cállate pa' Laredo, güey." Like, yo te voy a mandar, because back then there was no Cash App or Venmo. It was like Western Union.
Money order.
Western Union.
Oh.
And so he Western Union me the money so I could get the bus ticket to Laredo. So le caigo a Laredo, I go, and he picks me up this time. He's like, so, ¿qué onda, qué? And I'm like, he's like, ¿vas a grabar o qué onda? He's like, how much did you say again? I said, it's going to be like, it was like a couple $1,000. Like it was like $4,000 or $5,000 like that. To record like, I think it was like 7 or 8 songs or something like that. And he's like, ¿pero vas a grabar la de dancing, güey? And I'm like, sí, pues sí. Sobres. And he pulled the money out. And he gave it and he gave it to me. And that's how I got started. And I went and recorded the song in Austin.
So when you recorded the song and the music in Austin, he gave you enough money for
just the record.
Just the record. But hold on. Because you said about 4,000, 5,000 for about 7 or 8 songs.
No, a lot of money.
So did you just record that one song after?
No, I recorded the whole record.
Okay, so you record the record. The record's a thing now, and I guess back then it was on CDs and stuff like that, right? So then what are we doing with the record after?
Well, that happened. That happened. Well, then in Laredo, that's where I got my like my start. I guess. So, quote unquote start, because the Valley wouldn't show me love, so I had to go to Laredo.
And what year was this?
2012.
Okay,
12, 13. So, so I record the song, and the DJs from the radio station in Laredo, they started. That was my first song on country radio. They started to spin dancing, and then they put me to open up for the Texas acts that would come at the Casa Blanca in Laredo. They would make me the opener, and I would bring guys from the Valley.
So let me ask you this: all of this stuff is going on. You have a really good hit on your hands with dancing, and is everything happening the way it's supposed to be in your eyes? And are you getting that validation saying all this work that I've done since I was 13, 14 is finally paying off? Or were you still hungry for more?
I'm still hungry for more. You got to stay hungry. It's hard to eat when you're full. So you
bring the boys from the Valley.
And then we open up and stuff like that. And then I don't know how it happened, bro. I'm trying to think of how it happened. But I end up meeting... Oh, this is how it happened. There's these people in Laredo. This guy named Juan Hernandez. And him and his wife ended up they were opening up a new country station in Laredo. Completely different from that station. It was like a whole new station that had country Tejano and all that. Well, I met Juan, and he believed in me so much that him and his wife they wanted to start like this independent little small label called Elite Latin Records. It was no major label. It was just that's what they wanted to do.
And was this still around 2012?
Yeah. No. Once this was like 13, 14. And
so let me ask you this. So that record that you recorded, it's still getting
just dancing.
Just dancing.
I end up off of that song. Because the song's about, in the story, it's about a guy that meets a girl from Poteet, Texas. And so off that song, I end up playing the Poteet Strawberry Festival. And so then that station, I met that guy, and they funded like another recording, like a record. It didn't really do anything. It didn't do much.
Yeah.
But because I guess the husband and wife had a fallout, and like it just all went to like nothing.
So let me ask you this. So you're living off this one song for a few amount of years, and then that second record really doesn't do nothing.
Doesn't
What
do
does that
anything.
What does that do to you as an artist?
It really it broke my heart. You know, it broke my heart, and so that's when I knew I had to leave. Like I had to leave Texas, and because I love Keith Whitley, he's my favorite of all time. George Strait, Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson, all the '90s guys and the '80s. But I also love Michael Jackson, and I like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, and Usher, and Mario and Lloyd and all those guys, and
Those are two completely different
Right.
worlds. And had it, and I'll let you get back to what you were saying, but I'm curious to how did those two loves of different styles of music come together with you?
well, hear my songs. But the only way I could learn to do that, that's why I moved to New York City, because I figured what's popping in New York is popping all over the world. So I went to New York City, and I was there for a little bit of time, and then I was ready to go to Nashville, and rewind a little bit. I went to Nashville the first time in 2012, but I was only there like a couple weeks.
Just kind of sightseeing.
Not really. I thought I was ready, but it ate me up and spit me out. So
How did that experience happen?
I drove to Nashville.
No, I understand that, but you said you went to Nashville, it ate you up and spit you out. What do you mean by that?
I wasn't ready. Like I just wasn't ready. I thought I went there, and I looked around, and I heard and I saw what was going on, and I just went home. And I mean, I was only there a couple weeks. So, but when I left New York, I got to in 2016. And but I left with that trompa, like I already knew what I wanted to do. I knew who I was as an artist and what I wanted to do.
Even after years of playing in small bars and recording that album, playing the festivals and whatnot, even going back to when you were a kid touring with these major groups, it was that moment in New York that made you say, I know who I am as an artist.
Yeah, well, I had finally knew what kind of music I wanted to make. Like it was that, like I learned how, because those people in the subways, they're bad, bro. They're otro pedo. So I saw them mixing bachata with like salsa and to pop, and I saw them doing all that in the subways. So I wanted to mix like country music with like, I wanted to bring it together. You know what I mean? And so
You wanted to bring country music together with
the culture, but I didn't want to do it like with Spanish, like with Spanish lyrics, and I just wanted to figure out like how to blend my two worlds together. What make me whole, you know, like, and so that's what I did. And so I the sound that I created for myself was songs from the South and beats from the city. And that's the kind of music I wanted to make. Songs from the South with beats from the city. And
all of this is what, 2016?
yeah. When I left to Nashville, yeah.
Okay. So you said you've been living in Nashville for about 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, you get to Nashville with that in mind. And then how are you approaching it? Because I'm still trying to figure out how all that came into play with this latest chapter in your life.
Well, I get to Nashville and I'm homeless. I don't know anyone. For 16 weeks. I lived under the Jefferson Bridge. I was homeless, man. And I mentioned Juan Hernandez earlier because even though he didn't have that label and stuff anymore, and they lost the money, they lost everything. He became a truck driver. And he would lend me his points so I could take a shower at the Loves when I was homeless. That's how I showered. and living under the bridge and eating out of the truck. I would post up at the TA, and every TA, every truck stop has a restaurant attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would hang out where the truck drivers would park, and I would wait, and some of them would take their leftovers and some would throw them away. And when they would throw them away, I would wait till they left, and I'd run to the trash can. I would grab it out and I would eat it. And till finally, I did that for 4 months. But while in that time, I found out I would go around town, and I would find out where the songwriters are, where's this and where's that, where's the people hanging out, that the artists, the local guys, the dream chasers and all that. And so I found out where they hang out, so I went. And nobody knew I was homeless because I got to shower like once every 2 weeks. I would shower, right? And
it kind of reminds me of the movie The Pursuit of Happiness, where bro's living in a subway with his son, trying to sell that one machine, and then he's going into the bank and he's trying to earn his job there.
Right, like that, yeah. And so finally, I called my family, my brother, and my parents had no idea that I was homeless. Are you kidding me? My jefa would have came and freaking got me.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry to interrupt, but from that point, when was the last time you talked to your family? From that moment you made the phone call and said, "Hey, I'm homeless." How long did that time pass from the last conversation?
Oh, I would talk to them all the time.
But you just wouldn't tell them you were homeless?
I wouldn't tell them I was homeless. No.
So do you think it was more of a pride thing, or you wanted to see how far you can get it without their help?
It wasn't a pride thing. I didn't want to worry my mom and my dad. I didn't want to worry them. Are you kidding me, bro? The jefes that I have, they would have freaking pulled up to Nashville and got me, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
so what made you make that phone call?
I called my brother. I said, "Don't tell mom, but this is happening." And he's like, "Romeo, what?" Like, I don't want to cuss, but he was pissed off.
Yeah.
He wasn't mad at me. He was mad. Like, he was like, "Why didn't you call nobody?" type of thing.
Yeah.
And I said, "RJ, I can't no more, brother. Like, this is happening to me." I mean, the stuff that I was seeing, was very ugly when living in the streets. And so,
it's kind of crazy to think how far a childhood dream has taken you.
Yeah.
It took you to the brink of, not even the brink, because you were homeless living under the bridge for 16 weeks. But this childhood dream of being an entertainer took you through all these highs and lows, and it got you to this really, really dark spot.
Yeah.
Where you were just like, I can't do it no more. I need a call. I need help.
Yeah. Well, and I wasn't calling him for help, like to come and save me. I was calling him that if he could put me in a room, like a hotel room, and just for a little bit. And
so if you don't mind me asking, were you making any money doing anything to get by?
Yes, I got a job as a server at Chili's.
So you were homeless under a bridge as a server at Chili's.
Yeah.
And still trying to figure out how the music game works in Nashville.
Yeah. That's how.
And nobody suspected a thing?
Yes, because I always worked. I would work in the service industry. We call it doubles, and I would always ask to open and close, and I wanted to do it 7 days a week. And my boss told me one time, "Romeo, how come you work so much? Like, you gotta take a day off, buddy." And I said, I made a joke and said, I'm Mexican. Like, that's what we do, right? But the truth is, I would rather be at work than be on the street, because at least I knew if I was at work, I was gonna eat a hot meal and not out of a garbage can. So I worked.
So your brother puts you in a room.
Mm-hmm.
You're employed, and
No, he doesn't put me in a room. No, he says you need to call the VA and tell them your situation. And I said, okay. So I called the VA. Within 45 minutes of the time that I called them till they came to get me was 45 minutes. They came and got me. And they took me to the mental health annex. And then from there, they put me in a place called Matthew 25, and which is like a homeless program for vets. And that's where that's where life started for me. Like, because I was able, and while you're there, like, there's help for homeless vets. You just have to want it. Because while you're there, you can't drink, you can't do drugs, you have to be actively looking for a job, and you have to be doing chores. And every time that you leave and you come back, you're required to submit to an alcohol and drug test.
So how long were you in that program for?
That 6 weeks. So the average person is in there from 6 months to a year.
So why only 6 weeks?
Because I didn't want to be in there. I busted it. You mean to tell me, bro, that these people are gonna feed me? They're gonna give me a hot shower, and they're gonna have me a place for me to lay my head, and I'm just gonna not take advantage of that opportunity to be on my own. I didn't have to pay rent at the, like I was saving money, like, and that was the chance that I needed, and they gave it to me. Yeah. And so I actually talked to the director of Matthew 25, and I still hold the record. I was in and out the fastest since 2016.
So what happened when you left the program?
I got my own place.
But you were so you went to the program while you were still working at Chili's?
Yeah.
Okay, because you had already had some kind of money put away.
No. I would spend my money. Like I what I would do is I would spend my money going out trying to network.
Oh, okay.
Can I buy you a beer? Can I buy you a beer? Like that's how I was spending my money.
Mm-hmm.
So once I ended up getting a job at Outback Steakhouse when I got to the program, because Chili's wasn't like, I just wasn't really making the
money you needed at
the
Chili's.
money I needed at Chili's. So I got a job at Outback Steakhouse, and that's where I was like, for me it was an upgrade. You know what I mean? And I was working, bro. I was working. By that time, I mean, I had a car.
Mm-hmm.
And
this was what, 2016 still?
Yeah, 16 going to 17.
Okay.
And like 17, like the end of 16, 17.
Okay.
And so I had a car, so I would work, bro, work. You know what I mean? Agüito jalar, güey. Like, I'll work, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And I working, and I saved up enough money to get my own place. And I thanked everyone, and I haven't looked back.
So we're at 17 after you leave the bridge, and you're back on your own again.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts us at almost 10 years later. So what have you done with the last 10 years in terms of pursuing this goal now that you finally found
I was
stability?
playing Texas. I was playing, playing, and from that time, that the 10 years, I was playing Texas. I joined the Army. I got out the Army. I became a dad in that time.
So you went back into the Army again?
No. We're talking about 10 years from what?
No. I'm saying like after you get the.
You're talking about these 10 years in Nashville? Grinding, bro. Grinding, making records. Meeting people that They paying people that they say they're gonna do their job and they don't.
But at this point, now you're 10 years in the game. You found stability. Did you learn anything from your past and saying, hey, if I'm going to continue on this journey at this age, going into my 30s, do I need to move smarter, or am I still going to...
Well, that's where the net... Well, I didn't because...
because you were always networking.
No, but what I messed up was my networking turned into partying. I started doing drugs.
So the network and partying, that's what I'm trying to understand, because yes, you did drugs and the network turned into partying, but when did that happen? Did that happen after you had already found the stability?
Yeah.
That the veterans...
Yeah. Because what happened was you start meeting people that you only see on TV. As far as artists, you start meeting like potentially people that could change. You think in your mind that they can change your life, right?
Yeah.
And so they invite you to these parties, and they invite you to these rooms that you thought, I'm hanging out with so and so, like your status, like, you know what I mean? And you think like this person can change my life,
excuse my ignorance, but you're already kind of familiar with this kind of space in a sense, because this is what you grew up with as a kid.
Yes. But I was a kid, so if they were doing drugs, they didn't do it in front of me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I would do the show, and they would put me away. They would put me to sleep, and then they'd go out.
Yeah.
So if they were if they were doing drugs and stuff, I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so when I was an adult, and so I start hanging out with all these people, and then COVID hits, bro. There's nothing to do. Nothing to do.
Yeah.
And I wasn't gonna go home, because if I left home, I would never come back. I knew that. I knew it. All my friends went home. What I did was I went and got a job at Amazon. And
Amazon in Nashville?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I was a stower.
Okay.
The warehouse.
The warehouse.
And so, because I couldn't afford to go home. I knew that what would happen.
Yeah, you've already made it this far. You went through all these things, these ups and downs, and let me ask you this, because once you got the money in your pocket, once you got the place in your house, start networking, now you're getting involved with drugs and alcohol because of the rooms that you were put in. How long did that last? Was that during COVID, or are you working at Amazon?
The parties, like the heavy partying, started in COVID.
So 2020.
2020.
Okay.
It started in COVID. All the way up to about 2020, like 3, 4-ish. 23. Like those 3 years, bro. And that's why I wouldn't get invited to the rights and stuff, because nobody was taking me serious. Because I was just a party guy. You know what I mean? I was just a party guy. Because I made a lot of friends, and I hung out with a bunch of big names, but because I had the drugs. I knew the guy who had the drugs. You know what I mean? So when it came to, like, they would call me to party, but they never called me to work.
So your involvement in drugs is because you knew the guy who had the drugs. So
and I could get the drugs for the guys that wanted the drugs.
So, but why did drugs become a topic when it came to networking?
Because everybody does it.
So you felt that because everybody does it, it was like, okay, this is the only way I'm going to get in the room?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, look at me and look at them. I don't look like them.
When you realized that, what did that do for your ego?
It is what it is, man. I am what I am. I am what I am. Like I'm a Mexican American kid from the valley, bro. So Chicano way, like, I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, It is what it is.
So in a sense, did it feel like it took you back to that moment when you were trying to get a spot at one of the clubs when you came back home?
Yeah. You know, but these people would call me, and I thought, you know, like this is it. This is it, man. I'm here with so and so. I'm in here with so and so. I thought, you know, like shit, man. Because in my mind I was like, if I can get in the room and we start talking stuff, and then I can like maybe I can slip in a song or I could, you know, slip in like, hey man, I ride, like, or set something up, and then the next day they would like something could happen. That was always my mind. I was always like I was always chasing the dream. You know what I mean? And then it just puts, but they never called, they never answered, they never invited me. And then that's when I realized, like, you're by yourself, bro. You're by yourself. Nobody cares about you. Nobody does. I mean, these people, they're not your friends. They call you to get high. But why aren't they doing anything for you? Like, that could really help you. And so that's when I thought about my mom and my dad and my daughter. And my mom and dad, you know, they would like back home in the valley, you know, in the 956. We're big food. It's a big food culture.
Yeah.
And ahí en el Bayuco, they sell tamales and brisket and chicken plate, lo que sea, pasa $1, güey. You know? Mm-hmm. And my parents would do that for me. They would sell tamales, pulled pork, brisket, so I could have money to do recordings and stuff.
So they helped you. So you go back to the family that you left for that kind of support, this part of your life, to continue to pursue music.
Mm-hmm. But But
this was 2023.
Yeah. So no, this like I'm talking in those years.
No, for sure. Because what I'm hearing is that, like, during COVID, for those 3 years, roughly 2020, 2022, 21, you were networking, partying, whatnot, right? But when you realize, hey, like, these people ain't gonna do shit for me.
That part.
Then you go back to your...
No. While I'm doing that, these people, my parents are helping me because I'm calling them, because I'm still actively putting music out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still actively putting music out, but I would do the recording, and then I would put music out.
No,
but my jefa would send me money, and then I would do what I had to do, but I had a little bit left. I would like make it cheap, like, or I would find a way to make the cost less, and then so I have extra money, so I go party, you know. And that's like, me agüité bien gacho, you know. I was like, man, like, what am I doing, bro?
And when your family found out that you were doing this with the help that they were doing, did they ever find out?
Yeah, because I would go home.
What did they think about it? Like,
well, a mother's love, I can do no wrong. She was upset. She was disappointed. She wasn't mad. Why? Because that's not saying my mom and dad, but I'm a product of my bloodline, bro. I'm a product of my surroundings, of where I come from. And that's what everybody did where I was from. You know what I mean? And not my parents per se, but that's what I was taught. You know what I mean? With my tios and everybody around me and my primos and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I was exposed to as a kid. You know, you go to a party, bro, you go to a Mexican American or a Mexican 2-year-old party, the whole pinche truck is full of beer. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're drinking till 4 or 5 in the morning. That's all I knew. So it was my parents, like, and I was never secret about it, because I'd go home and I'd go party. You know, like, it wasn't like I was lying to them. They knew I partied.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so my mom was just like, you know, like, almost apologizing to me, like, like this, like, or like worse, like this is.
Did she? Is it like? Did she feel like she enabled the lifestyle that you were living to an extent?
Yeah, 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 and and so, and they couldn't be mad because that's what I was exposed to, bro. And as a kid, as a little kid, bro, I learned about drugs and alcohol before the music industry. But not my parents. I'm just saying the surroundings that I was around. I'm from the valley, bro. See that shit all the time. So it was no, oh my God, he's doing drugs. It was oh my God, he does drugs was when I got to Nashville. Because people will do it. I don't say everybody, right? But the majority, they do it, bro. They're just secret. I had this one guy tell me, I was partying with him like for days and nights. And I saw him in public at a bar. And I went up to him to say, what's up? And he turned his face to me.
Why is that?
Let me go back. So I said, all right. So we go that night, we end up at an after party. He ends up showing up. And I was like, hey, what's up? And he comes and asks me for some. And I said, bro, you literally like turned your back on me. He's like, nah, well, it's because, like we know you're the party guy. And like I don't, if they see me, like they'll know that if they see me with, like, they'll know that you're like you party. And I don't want people to know that I do this. That's why I did that. My bad, bro. I love you, though. You know what I'm saying? So, but I thought about my parents and everything that they were doing for me. And I thought about my kid. And
how's your kid now?
She's good. She's 17. And one day I was just like, man, like, this shit ain't worth it, man. It's not worth it, bro. I told, like, I can't catch my dreams drunk and high. But I don't know how to make the math with you to explain that even though I was doing drugs, I was always chasing the dream. It's just that's how I like being in the rooms with these. I mean, you're talking massive stars, bro, and powerful people in the industry. I thought that was like kind of like a hip hop story, like when like the like the Eazy-E and Dr. Dre and how he was this and like he was like, I thought like that's what was going on in my time, and I thought if I'm in the room with these people can possibly change my life or give me an opportunity. So, but it was far from that.
It's crazy to think that throughout this whole journey of you pursuing a dream in the entertainment music industry, that there was nobody in your life that said, hey, bro, just be your own person. Don't worry about being mainstream. Be an island. People will gravitate to that kind of energy. But now that we're, in modern times, with all of these lessons behind your belt, what are you going to do now in pursuit of this music for yourself? I mean,
I think sharing my story, like now I'm an island. Now I am. Because I'm not hiding. I'm telling my story to give hope to the hopeless and to tell the young generation after me, or maybe the person that's doing it right now, not just in music, but maybe friends. They want friends, but their friends are on the wrong path. But if they don't do what their friends are, they don't want to be alone. They want to be accepted. And now I'm here to tell them that you don't have to do what they're doing to get what you need or because you think they can help you.
It's almost kind of like you have to learn the hard way, in a sense, through you being 13. Now you're in your late 30s. You learn the hard way.
Yeah.
That, hey, like, look at my life. Like, now, if you're in the pursuit of this dream and when it comes to music, this is probably what you should look out for.
Yeah. And, and a lesson learned is, like, it's better to walk alone in the right direction than follow the herd in the wrong direction. And I learned that. And I learned that the hardest walk you can make is the one that you walk alone. But that's the walk that builds character. Sometimes being alone is what you need, you know, because you're never alone. God's always with you, you know, but he'll knock on the door, but he'll never trespass your free will. And I think I learned that the hard way. But now, where I'm at now is in a position to where somebody that hears my story or I can talk to the younger generation, they'll be like, you know what? Like, maybe they're going through that right now, you know? And not everybody wants to be a country music artist, right? Maybe some people want to, I don't know, be the general manager of HEB, you know, and be the best, you know, but right now they're bag boys. Be the best bag boy that HEB's ever seen. And if you see the manager going out there and getting drunk and you see him in a bar, don't go hang out with him because he's your manager. He doesn't care about you in the bar. You know what I mean? You don't have to get drunk with your boss or kiss the boss's butt because he think he's going to do something. Just work hard. You know what I mean? Just work hard. And show effort. Because effort will get you through the door when talent is having a lack day. And I learned that. You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm where I'm at now is obviously, you know, by now that I'm not right. I'm never happy. And not that I'm not happy, but I'm still chasing, you know, but I am the best version of me I've ever been in my entire life.
The future looks bright in 2026. The way I want to wrap this up is maybe talking about what plans do you have to pursue this music in the right direction for this year?
Right.
I know one thing I did see is that national anthem performance that you had on TNA.
I did.
On national television.
I did.
Man, tell me about that experience.
Man, it was something that freaked me out when I got the opportunity. Shout out to Smooth Vega, you know. He made that come to life, and I was a little nervous. I was still nervous, you know, but going up there and, you know, being a vet, coming from a vet family, you know, to sing the national anthem, as a solo artist in country music, that was the biggest stage of my career, you know, and I'm very thankful. And I messed up I don't know, but you know, but I did my best, and that's all I can give my country is my best, you know.
100%. I want to thank you for coming on the platform and sharing your story. It's definitely been a very interesting one, to say the least.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I hope to get some new music from you other than dancing in 2026. And if so, where can people find that music?
Man, we'll actually have a new single out right now called Know What to Do. It just came out. Produced, I mean, I wrote the song, but produced by Smooth Vega and Chico. And Chico's the engineer and stuff, you know. Vega produced the record, and it was just, you know, we got Know What to Do, and mind you, besides dancing, we have a bunch of songs out. I don't want you to think I just have that. We have a bunch of songs out. I mean, I did a song with DJ Kane from the Cumbia Kings, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I've done a lot of songs, but right now we have Know What to Do. Before Know What to Do, we had Big Dreams from a Small Town that came out, but this is the best music I'm not just saying that because, you know, it's my new song and everybody says that. This is literally the best music I've ever made. You know,
is it because you're like in a better headspace?
I'm in a better headspace. I'm clear. I'm not, you know, I'm a better human. You know, the Lord is great, man. The Lord is great, and And not only that, I mean, I have a kick-ass team. I mean, Smooth Vega and Chico, I mean, these guys are geniuses, bro, with that stuff, you know? And, you know, I it's the best music I ever made, and Know What to Do, you know, is hands down the best song that I've made to date, you know what I'm saying? And it was really cool to see it come to life and work. You know, it wasn't easy getting it out because, you know, having to come from Nashville to Fort Worth, but it was worth it. I mean, that's nothing compared to what I've done. Right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you know, but it's a great song. I think the song represents, like, maybe not the lyrics per se, but I think the song represents, like, it's like a story of redemption. You know, God had to break me to make me, and Know What to Do is, and everything about the vibe of Know What to Do and the style and just everything, like the man that sang, like, if you look at my old videos, right, and you hear the man singing those songs and doing those music videos is not the man that's you'll see in Know What to Do and in this interview today. I mean, I put a song out called Doing My Thang, bro. On the cover photo, no, I had an 8-ball in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? And so the guy that I met, the person that I am today, that I've worked very hard with with the Lord and my family, Know What to Do is proof that if you put God first, you work hard, you have discipline, integrity, and effort, you can do anything.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this episode of Dark Discussions Podcast. We'll put his links at the bottom. Anything you want to do, check him out. Links, YouTube, Spotify, anything he's got, it's going to be down there. If he doesn't have it, his Instagram has it. We'll put the Instagram down there below. Until the next time. All right. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
You too.